guys, and welcome to back to Three in the Key. So for today's episode, we're going to be continuing our lists for the top 10 different positions in the league. Today, we're going to do our top 10 shooting guards in the league, and I'm here with Andrew. Say hi, and Ben.
What's up, guys?
I'm your host.
Before we start, do we want to just quickly go over just some things that happened in the NBA quickly?
Sure. So the Raptors are obviously the best team so far, destroying the King and
I now put them in the contenders category ahead of Miami. I indefinitely put them ahead of Miami and Boston now. Like I don't
easily.
Like before, there was some hesitance for me, but like now, oh my God, and Brooklyn beat the Milwaukee Bucks.
No.
Yeah, they dropped 70 points in the first half. And I don't even think they played Karis LeVert, and they still won. They hit like 103.
Sorry for the stoppage people are watching, but that is something.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. Anyway, also another thing.
TJ
Warren.
Jonathan Isaac tore his ACL, so.
Sorry, that's probably a better thing to talk about first. Yeah. So best of luck to him. That really sucks, man. He's just a great young player. Good future ahead of him. It just really sucks. So. Condolences out to him, but
he tore his ACL. A part of my ACL got torn too, because I'm so sad.
All right, so
I'm very.
In other news, TJ Warren dropping 53.
That was
wasn't it 35 the next time too?
Yeah,
he had like nearly a 40-piece the other night. He's really good.
He's turning into something good.
He's pretty one-dimensional as far as I'm concerned, but he did light the Sixers up just. Monstrous game.
We'll see how it goes.
But anyway, I don't think there's any other news. There might have been something. I feel like there's something we missed, but it really doesn't matter. So let's just get into our list. So
before we start, who are we saying isn't a shooting guard? We're saying no Jimmy Butler in any of our lists.
Luka Doncic is a shooting guard.
Luka Doncic shooting guard, and
Paul George is
Shai Gilgeous is a shooting guard.
All right, so let's get into our lists.
I'm assuming, basically the way I figured how injuries would work on this is if I think a player will be affected by injuries, then that will affect their placement. Like, for example, I have Klay Thompson on my list, and I don't think he's going to be affected too bad by a torn ACL because he's a shooter, and he's a very, 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 very good shooter. So I don't think it's that big of a deal for him. So.
All right, so Andrew, do you want to go first, or?
And also this time, Andrew, I think we should keep it a little shorter. Like try to rush the list a little faster this time.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Then we can save more time at the end to discuss.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I can. Yeah. So who wants to go first?
Arnav?
I can go first. Yeah, sure.
No, Arnav. Okay, sure.
Yeah, I mean, you did the intro, so.
All right. So. At my number 10 spot. Well, actually, first, I'm going to do with my honorable mentions. Shai and Jaylen Brown. Both great players, and I know they're like super young talents, and they definitely have their full careers ahead of them. Like, they're going to play really well in the next few seasons. And Jaylen and Shai are going to do really good right now, and they're pretty important for the teams. But I just didn't think like they've proven enough compared to some of the other players on these lists.
I respect that.
Yeah. So going to my number 10 spot is Victor Oladipo. He's a really good player, and he was an all-star. Just I don't know, when he came back, it just wasn't the same from the injuries.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory.
I feel like he's still trying to find his groove a little bit, but I don't know.
Okay.
He looked very good in that one season, but I'm not saying it is. But could it be a fluke? I'm not sure. So should be interesting to see how.
We'll talk about him more at the end, though, because I think he's an interesting case.
Yeah,
that's why he's my number 10.
Mm-hmm.
So your number 9?
Yeah. So my number 9 is Zach LaVine. Just great player, probably the best dunker in the league.
Amazing score.
That's in my books. Yep.
Great
and good 3-pointer, and he's the leader for this young Bulls team. And I think they're pretty promising for the next few seasons. Like I could see them getting into the playoffs next year if they
As long
get,
as they
make a
fire
few
Jim
changes.
Egghead Boylan, then they can
Oh
they
yeah,
can be a good team. Like he makes them so
he's got
good.
that talent. Hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah, averaging like 25 points a game, 25.5.
on better
Pretty good.
defense. Like
Mhm.
still not amazing defense, but improved.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So at my number 8 spot, I've got CJ McCollum.
Mm.
Same like number two option for the Trailblazers, and they're making a playoff run right now, and he's a pretty important part to that. Like I don't know, this season he just wasn't as like there, you know. But he's one of the best shooting guards in the league, so that's it for him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, keeping this short, we got Devin Booker at my number 7 spot. He's just one of the most insane scorers in the league right now. Dude, like in his second year, he had 70 points. He's just like absolutely berserk. He's
electrifying.
the Kobe of the league right now, I think. But like not on a good team. And that's why I put him so low, because he's just not taking his team anywhere, even though he has a lot of talent. It's just young. And I definitely see them like moving on. But like this year he's not up there. On my number 6 spot, we got Bradley Beal. Also, pretty much the same thing, averaging 30 points this year and 6 assists. It's just his team is not good. They're just horrible.
It might be the worst defensive team of all time.
Mm-hmm. He's a good scorer, but just
like if you look at the list of the highest scoring games per team, like it says what team they played against, and I think the top 5, I think 3 of the games are against the Wizards. Just they just don't play that side of the ball.
Right.
Yeah.
They do play offense pretty good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you all saw this coming. We got Donovan Mitchell, just the best shooting guard in the league, but not really. But you know, he's just such a promising young talent. He's insane. He's really dominant in the fourth quarter, and he's pretty clutch in those moments. It's just right now the Jazz aren't looking so good with Bogey out.
I don't see a way that they.
I know it's really tough.
I'll get to my opinion on the Jazz in a minute.
Yeah, they just need those 20. They don't have that 20 points
20
like
points
back.
Mm-hmm.
It just disappeared, you know. And that's the problem. And Donovan Mitchell is having to take like all this pressure on him because of that. Like they don't have that many scorers.
Yeah, and Jordan Clarkson's not been too great. He's been fairly inconsistent. He was
like in the pre like before Corona, he was a really good 6-man. Like, but I don't know.
He's been solid well before this point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Okay, and then at my number 4 spot, Paul George. Just self-explanatory. Just not. I didn't see him playing that well this season. Like he was pretty on and off with
His
injuries and stuff
had
like
to be
that.
surgically repaired though at the start of the year, so I feel like people forget that.
But I feel like
because
that's gonna
Kawhi
affect
played so well when he was out.
Kawhi did play very well.
Mm-hmm. I just like every time I watched one of the like Clippers games, he just wasn't there. Like, I never saw like any highlights and stuff. I don't know. But like
still,
he's definitely there. He's a really good player. And then my number 3 spot, Klay Thompson, one of the best shooters in the league right now, like second best, right after his teammate Curry. Just the ACL injury, he's just not been here the whole season, which is why we don't really talk about him much.
But like as Andrew said, for his place,
he's not gonna
that
get
injury is not going to affect too much.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll see how that goes next season. And then we got number 2, Luka Doncic. It's just an amazing player, bro. Almost 29 points, almost 10 assists. No, almost 9 assists,
Really
and almost 10
triple-double.
rebounds. Yeah, almost. He was like one off from a triple-double, and that's insane for a second-year player. And almost averaging like 30 points. That's crazy. He's just doing so much at such a young age, and it's just crazy. Like he's an MVP candidate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's gonna win MVP. There's no way he's winning MVP this year, but
I wouldn't put him on my
he's
first team
definitely there.
even. I think I'd put him on my second team. But
I mean,
yeah, on my second team because he's second. He's my second.
Yeah, it's hard to make those teams as a guard. Right?
oh yeah, definitely a lot of guard depth these days.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if do they take in the playoffs? No.
No,
I think he could get he could get I think he could make first team over Damian Lillard.
I disagree with that, but my reasoning we'll get to in a minute. Arnav, you're number one. James Harden, I'm assuming.
James Harden, yeah, 35-point
Who knows?
game.
It might be Buddy Hield.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Buddy Hield.
Buddy Hield.
He's a good player, though. He's a good player.
Underrated MVP candidate, gotta say.
Really?
But anyway, James Harden, you're number one.
James Harden, yep. So my list is pretty self-explanatory. Pretty undebatable.
Straightforward.
Yep. All right, let's go to
Me.
yeah, Ben.
All right. My list. So just like Arnav, I'd like to start with my honorable mentions, if I can remember them. So Zach LaVine, sorry, bud, you didn't make my list. I mean, there's just so much depth at that shooting guard position in the league right now. Probably one of the best positions in the league, if not point guard. But
Jrue Holiday didn't make my list.
Great player, didn't make my list. And then you got Jaylen Brown as well, who didn't get my list. Great young talent's gonna be there.
Mm-hmm.
And Arnav, who'd you have at your 9?
He had CJ McCollum. No, he had
I had Zach LaVine as my 9.
Oh, that's right.
I'm missing somebody that I didn't make my list, but shout out to them. No, actually. All right. Nah, I have DeRozan as a 3. Okay, anyways.
Yeah, same. Okay, moving on.
Number 10, I got CJ McCollum. Just a great scorer for the team, not a bad defender. The reason I picked him over some of those younger guys is just because he has more experience and he's proven more, even though he might not be averaging as much as those guys. But I definitely think in the future they're going to take that spot. But for this season, I'm still going to go with CJ McCollum as my 10th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to my 9th, I don't know if Arnav had him on his list, but I got Jrue Holiday. No, just great playmaker. He can shoot the ball. Great defender. Overall, just a really decent player.
He's very crafty.
This season, I haven't seen much from him, but I'm sure he's still been out there balling. He's almost like a point guard that's stuck in the shooting guard position, but
he played point guard before.
Yeah.
Recently, he's played shooting guard because obviously last year they had Rondo, or no, that was 2 years ago. But
they have Zoe, so that's why I have him at my 9. So, yeah. At my 8,
bro, man.
From Canada, I got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, one of my favorite players in the league right now.
Oh, definitely.
He's been just having a great season, really. Good stats.
Good stats.
I would say second option for a playoff team is pretty impressive for a second-year player. I mean, obviously, Luka Doncic is the best player, but yeah. So for me, he could have been higher.
He's helping his team, bro. Okay, see, that's crazy. What they're doing this season, I did not expect that whatsoever. I thought they were done.
Yeah. Nobody expected them to play this well. They got Gallo, they got CP3, just a great team.
They got
Shai's been a great fit with them. Just so crafty. You just watch him play, he can get a bucket. Especially the one game against Toronto.
At his own pace, and I really like that.
Yeah. So that's why I have him at number 8. Number 7, I got Mr. 70 Bomb. Could have been probably higher on my list, but stuck on that Suns team. You know how that goes.
Yep.
Yeah, he's just. I said this a lot in the first ranking video. Just an amazing player, really. Definitely has a great future ahead of him. All-Stars, MVPs. I think, yeah, he just has to get out of Phoenix. I think maybe a team up with D'Lo in Minnesota and probably not Minnesota. Team up with D'Lo and Cat in Minnesota. Maybe that would be pretty cool for him. DeAndre Ayton's not, I don't know, might be a bust, so don't think he should stay.
Ayton's definitely not a bust. He's just not Doncic.
Yeah.
And that's always gonna be like the thing people bring up with him. That what
he shouldn't have been that number 1 pick.
It's not his fault. He hasn't been disappointing. He's, if anything, to me, exceeded expectations on the offensive end. But I don't know. He's just not.
Well, he's a center, and we're talking about shooting guards, so we should move on. At my number 6, I think Arnav might be a little bit mad about this. I got Donovan Mitchell.
Number 6, bro? Okay, you better have some good players there, man.
There is many players that are better than him right now. Just because he's so young, like, he's going to be good. Like I said about all these other guys, he's going to be at the top of my list. He's going to be a top 3 shooting guard in the league eventually.
Probably.
Once everybody retires. Yeah, so, like, Arnav talked a lot about him, but he's a phenomenal player. Don't know if he can lead the Jazz this season, with the injuries and stuff. Rudy Gobert in the bubble hasn't been amazing on the defensive end, letting AD score 40 points and whatever last night.
Last night was not good.
D. Mitch at 6 is where I have him, but I definitely think he's going to move up on my list if we do this in a couple of years. So that's my number 6.
You had Donovan at 5?
Arnav had a 4. 5.
It's only one spot ahead of where Ben put him. That's really not that big of a difference.
Yeah. Okay, at number 5, I got Bradley Beal. I mean, how can you not put a guy who averaged, 30 points a game here? He didn't even make an all-star team. That's crazy. Like,
yeah, I actually have a bone to pick with that. I think he
like
an all-star this year.
Would you rather have Bam Adebayo or Bradley Beal at the end of the day? Like, sorry, Bam, you're a great player, but this guy Beal is almost on that superstar level. Again, just a player that
his team is just so bad.
He needs to get out of Washington. He could not stay.
If he was anywhere else,
he'd be like on an all-star team.
Yeah, he has a legit second option on a championship.
I don't understand how the Wizards are 9th seed either. Like, they're so bad.
Because the East is weak, and they're a good offensive team.
Weak.
What are they offensively? Top 10?
They're like 4th in offensive rating, and then they're dead
last. He's averaging 30 points.
Like, their offensive rating is like 110. I don't know much about offensive rating, but I know that's good.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
All right, so that's who I have at number 5. At number 4, I got number 11 from the Golden State Warriors, Klay Thompson. Unfortunate injury. I mean, like, as a Raptors fan in that series, I don't really think that would have changed the outcome of that game. Maybe.
For sure, man. No, it wouldn't.
But, still, yeah, as Andrew and I mentioned again, the injury is not going to affect him because of the way he plays, so that's why I have him at number 4. There's not that much else to say. You guys know who Klay Thompson is. I mean, if you're watching the podcast, I hope you do. If you don't, well, that's
there's something wrong.
Or they're just looking at the podcast for help,
Yeah. All right.
They need to know.
So that was my number 4. At number 3, I got PG-13. Great nickname, really.
Or 14 sometimes in All-Star games, eh?
That kind of bothered me a little.
What bothered you?
Never mind. Go on.
Thank you. I mean, there's not that much you can say about Paul George. Great player, great 2 guard. I would want him on my team. I hope you would want him on yours, unless you're, like, weird. Yeah, so I don't really know what else to say about Paul George except
Amazing defender on the perimeter. Very
best two-way, one of the best two-way players in the league.
good
Yeah.
shooter.
Oh yeah.
Good playmaker.
Not
Good
talk about
rebounder.
him.
He's just a really good two-way player. Like,
All right.
He's a really big shooting guard. Like he's definitely one.
Big.
He's the biggest, strongest person on this list.
All right. So at number 2,
No, James Harden's stronger.
my favorite player in the league. You already know we got Norman Powell. I'm just joking. Luka Doncic.
I thought Chris Paul was your favorite player. You talking my ear off about Chris Paul.
No, Luka Doncic, my favorite player. I bought tickets just to watch him go play in Toronto. He didn't play, but it's still the best game of the regular season, so I'm not mad. Yeah, 30-point comeback. Okay. Anyways, Luka Doncic, start of the year in the conversation for the MVP. I don't think he's even close now, but still, second-year player. It would be the youngest MVP ever, right? Or yeah, he would.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so he's just amazing. I just love the way he plays. That's why, I mean, it's not really biased that I put him there because I'm pretty sure you guys both have him at 2, if I'm wrong.
Like, I don't.
So, yeah, I'm going to let Andrew talk a little bit more about him and the way he plays because I know Andrew probably has some stuff to say about him.
Yeah, I have actually a fair bit of issues with Luka Doncic, but we'll get to that in a minute.
So now I'm going to move on to my number 1 spot. Pretty self-explanatory. The best left-hand scorer ever. The best left-handed player ever.
Yeah, he as of last night, he's
the highest.
Robinson for most points all time on the lefty scoring list.
That is very true. All right. So, yeah. I mean, I don't really know what to say. I don't think he's going to be past Kareem for number 1 on this all-time scoring.
James Harden, he's at like 22,000 right now.
I think he'll be close.
Hold your horses, Ben. He's at 22,000. He has a good 5 more years. And let's say he scores like 2. Oh shoot! Yeah, he'll probably get to the 30,000 point club, but he's not gonna pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I said.
Okay. Well.
You're stealing my thunder here, man. All right. Anyways, there's not too much to say about him. So yeah, that's my list. Hope y'all enjoyed it.
Yeah, let's hear Andrew's opinion.
So I have probably more broad opinions about everyone. So. Just like everyone else, before I start my list, I want to give an honorable mention. And I'm looking at my list, and I'm very, very, very close to changing it. I'm very close to. And
you don't have time.
I think I'm going to keep it the way it is because, yeah, actually. So my honorable mention is C.J. McCollum, who I think is just a really good 3-level scorer. He's a very effective, efficient 3-point shooter. He's a good catch fire guy. He's a good rhythm shooter. He's just a very fundamentally sound shooter. My problems with him is he's not like he doesn't excel on defense. Like he's fine, but he's not special. He's not a particularly amazing playmaker, although he's a passable playmaker. This season he has shot poorly from the free throw line. The Trailblazers have also been pretty stagnant this year, although I don't think that's their fault. A lot of players have been hurt on this roster, like very badly. He's also just been stagnant, like really since his most improved player campaign. It's basically just been like low 20s as far as scoring goes. He hasn't really adapted his game, and his efficiency has slowly staggered. Like this year, his season this year is basically the same as it was last year. A little bit better playmaking, but worse.
Yeah, we get it.
Anyway, yeah, so that's why I don't have CJ McCollum on my list. He's just stagnant. But anyway.
So he's your number 11?
He's my number 11. But
also, can I mention something real quick before you move on to before you start your list?
Fine.
I just realized that we forgot about Fred VanVleet. I think he should be an honorable mention too. Like,
I mean,
he's
technically he's a point guard.
He's technically a point guard, and we run 2 point guards at the end of the game, like the Thunder. He's a point guard.
Yeah.
He is listed as a point guard.
But Lowry is too.
He's more of a shooting guard. Let's be honest.
Well, he plays off ball like a shooting guard, but
all right, so we can honorable mention him for shooting guard and point guard. There we go.
yeah, he plays a little bit of both.
He's been going off.
It's not like Fred
He has
Van
how many
watching the video and crying because we didn't mention him in our shooting guards list.
Yeah, he should.
We don't know that, man.
Hey,
we don't know
Fred
that.
VanVleet, if you're watching this, I don't know, sponsor us or something.
We're sorry, Freddie.
We're sorry, Freddie. But anyway, so at my number 10, I have Zach LaVine, and it's not his fault, first of all, that the Chicago Bulls are bad this year. Let me tell you this. If the Chicago Bulls didn't have a coach that was so stupid that he probably couldn't even toast a bagel, then they would be in the playoffs, okay? They would be a playoff. God. He can't even, like, flick a light switch up and down. He is that dumb. I have a lot of problems with Jim Boylan because of his inability to stagger Larry Markkinen and Zach LaVine's minutes, which basically means to play them because they're both dominant scorers and they both need the ball in their hands to be good. You play only one on the floor at a time, right? As much as you can, so that they can both get their touches. But regardless of that, Zach LaVine has fought tooth and nail to get this team to drag this team as far as he can. He is hindered so severely by the lack of a competent coach, or the lack of a coach that doesn't have a yolk for a brain. So that's why I can't put him higher than 10. But he's a very.
He needs bagels, bro. He needs bagels.
He's a solid passer. He's super athletic. We know this. He's good at finishing at the basket. Great 3-point shooter. It's just like the Bulls are never going to. He needs to win, and the Bulls are never going to win with Jim Egghead Boylan. Anyway, at my number 9
because they don't have any toasted bagels.
I have Jaylen Brown, and I was very close to moving Brown off the list, putting LaVine at 9 and McCollum at 10. But then I decided against that because Jaylen Brown is actually a really solid player. He's a great defender. He's very athletic. He's got a good work ethic. He's a great he's a great third option to this Celtics team. And he had a really impressive campaign. He's a efficient shooter. He's great at getting to the hole. He's a good defender.
20 points.
I mean, he's not a particularly like exciting player at times, but he can really go off at times and light up opposing teams. Like I think against the Trailblazers, he had like a very solid 35. Like he can really light you up with that 3-point shot at times. Like it's sneaky. Like he's shooting almost 40% on almost 6 attempts, which is pretty good. Like for an all-star caliber player, I'd say that's really good. He's also he's not a great playmaker, but like he can make it work at times. But he's a really good off-ball player. He's a really nice complementary piece to Jason Tatum as well. So I have him at number 9. I just don't think he's better than anyone else on my list. I have nothing against Jaylen Brown other than maybe his playmaking needs to improve a little, but he's just quite simply not better than most of these guys. So at number 8, I have Shai Gilgeous, and I like Shai Gilgeous because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because first of all, he's a very good complementary piece to Chris Paul. Because Chris Paul is a very good passer and playmaker, and SJ is not particularly a playmaker in any way. He's averaging like 3 assists this year, but I think that's just for the starting shooting guard. I'm pretty sure the Thunder are actually last in the league in assists, which is surprising because they have Chris Paul. So they don't have a ton of ball movement, but Shai is a very good isolation scorer. He's very crafty when he gets to the rim. Just because he doesn't average a lot of assists doesn't mean like he can't pass the rock. Like he can throw skilled passes. He's a solid rebounder. He's a solid shooter. He's fairly athletic. He's just not a particularly exciting or flashy player. He wows me with his ability to control the game. He doesn't have like a lot of gravity, but he's just able to control the game. So that's why I don't have him higher, because he's just not better than the guys ahead of him, and he's unproven because he's young. So anyway, at number 7, and this is gonna tick Arnav off. I have Donovan Mitchell.
No, you can't put him at number 7.
Let
Now.
me sing my piece about Donovan Mitchell. So I think Donovan Mitchell is a very talented scorer, and he's very good at getting to the hole. But I don't think he is a better scorer or a better player than anyone ahead of him. You actually bought a Donovan Mitchell jersey.
Sure, man.
I didn't believe that you would do that. I did not. Oh, for God's sake.
Oh wait, and we got the.
Oh,
Nobody can
yeah.
see
So viewers, you're not gonna be able to see this, but Arnav is a huge Donovan Mitchell stan, and he bought all of his, I don't know, merch, I guess. So I don't have Donovan Mitchell higher than Devin Booker because he's not a better 3-level scorer, even though Devin Booker's on a worse team. I think Devin Booker is just a better game takeover type guy. And Mitchell is fairly inconsistent. Like, he will go through 3 quarters and have like 9 points, and then he'll fill it up in the 4th quarter, which is fine, but you don't get by like that. Like, he's a good player, like, but on any given night he could completely fold.
Not be there.
He doesn't excel enough in any particular area of the game. Like, he's good everywhere and he has loads of potential to be a 3-level scorer. But Devin Booker is a much better 3-point shooter, and he's already a better player in most of those areas.
Okay, but let me give you one thing about Donovan Mitchell. He has just become the 3rd fastest player to hit 5,000 points, and he's only behind LeBron James and Kevin Durant.
Well, that's fairly impressive, actually.
Insane.
That's really impressive.
He's hit 5,000 points faster than Michael Jordan has. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has.
Because Michael Jordan broke his foot in his 2nd year. That's not fair.
No one cares, bro. No one cares.
That's not fair.
Like, just hit 5,000. He's Michael Jordan.
Donovan Mitchell has been given the keys to the offense for what? Like,
yeah, and it's working. He's taking the Jazz to the playoffs every year.
Well, yeah, they had a playoff roster. Other than Mitchell, they didn't have a playoff roster, but then when Mitchell started to play well, then they had a playoff roster, right? So my thing is, he hasn't.
He got snaked for Rookie of the Year that year.
I think I could consider putting him higher, but I won't because I just don't think he's a talented enough scorer, and I don't think the Jazz are gonna make it past the 1st round this year because they're playing really, really badly without Bogdanovich. And that will hinder his value a lot. So anyway, on my number 6 spot, I have Devin Booker, who is a super talented scorer. Obviously the 70-point game, but I mean that was kind of a blowout, so I kind of write that off. But he is just a really talented scorer that I don't think it's his fault that this team is bad. To me, the Suns have the 2nd worst owner in the NBA. With Robert Sarver, and I mean when you're second only to James Dolan, you know that's bad. So he may as well. He's like qualified to be the. Anyway, I don't want to talk about Robert Sarver anymore because I hate him. But anyway, because he has like this year with a competent point guard, we saw what D-Book could do. He became a first-time All-Star. I think he's hit 50, 40, 90, or he's gotten close. He's a very efficient player. He's a very effective 3-point shooter, and he has that killer instinct and that ability to just go off and explode for any given amount of points. Like, we are talking, like, he is a legit, like, monster scorer. Like, he is a actual game takeover guy, and I don't think Mitchell is quite that. Like, Mitchell can have very good games, but rarely do we see him, like, take over. Like, D-Book can take over. And D-Book's also sneaky athletic. He's tall. He's a very good competitor. He's also really young. I think he's actually younger than Donovan Mitchell. Like, by a couple months, he is younger than Donovan Mitchell.
I think he's 2 years older.
Hold on. So, what? D-Book is 23 and 279.
His rookie year, he had that 70-point game. Don's rookie year.
He is
He's in his fifth
23
year.
years old and 279 days. Donovan is 2 months older. Donovan Mitchell is 2 months older than Devin Booker. That is unbelievable to me.
Did he have the 70-point game?
In his second year, I think. I don't think a rookie would score 70 points. That would be just.
Yeah, but that was his fourth year. I mean, this is his fourth year, right?
Yeah, no, it's his fifth year.
Yeah, then how is he?
He came into the league when he was 18.
Yeah, he came into the league when he was 18, like Kobe.
They can do
His
that?
birthday's in October.
Oh, okay, that's why.
In October, is it? It's not in December. I just assumed.
No, it's October 30th.
October 30th. Okay, so anyway, yeah, I have Devin Booker at my 6. I think the Suns are actually a good team. They're better than their record suggests, in my opinion. I think they have a good roster, and I think they're going to be a playoff contender next year as well. But at my number 5, I have Klay Thompson, who's already a proven playoff player, and he's not going to be hindered by this injury. He's, to me, probably a top 3 shooter ever when it's said and done. Like, I mean, there are going to be guys that pass him eventually, but for now, he's probably one of the best shooters of all time. He's a very, very good defender. He's a great off-ball player, and he also has that ability to catch fire, not to take over, but to catch fire. And that's really important when you have a guy like Steph Curry, who, if he's having a bad game, he can fill in the scoring load. He's had some just monster performances over the years. He has many 3-point records, and he has just a great ability to play off ball. He's probably one of the best off-ball players in the NBA. And I think that's really valuable to a championship team. He basically fits into any system. And because of that, he's very effective. But at my number 4, I have Bradley Beal, who I just think is a better scorer than everyone behind him. And I think he is so good at what he does that he should, like, if he were leading his team, which is not his fault, obviously the Wizards are really bad. If he were leading his team, then I'd probably put him higher. But the Wizards are just simply a terrible team, one of the worst defenses ever. And Beal is just, he hasn't necessarily, like, proven that he can be a winner. But he's a fairly durable player other than his shoulder injury this year. And he's just a super dominant scorer. He doesn't have, like, monster nights, but he consistently puts up these 25 to 30-point games. And that brand of consistency is what I appreciate from him. I just think he's such a good scorer from all 3 levels that I think he deserves this spot. But I think he'll get traded, or he should demand a trade at Washington. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, at number 3, I have Paul George, who's a pretty self-explanatory player. I mean, very solid score, very capable scorer. This year, he's been up and down due to, like, injury and the just amount of Clippers depth. He's a great 3-point shooter. He's got a good mid-range game. He's good in the isolation. He's good at taking it to the hole. He's one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. He obviously put up an MVP ballot, I think it was last year. So I think he's one of the best players. I think he's the 3rd best shooting guard just because he's on a really loaded team and the 2 guys ahead of him are just more talented. So number 2, I have Luka Doncic, who, even though his numbers may suggest this, to me, he is not an indestructible player. Luka Doncic has his flaws. And to me, the biggest flaw with Luka Doncic is his ability to finish in the clutch. It's not that his 3-point percentage is below a league average, because, I mean, he takes a lot of them, which really balances it out, right? Like, if you have a lot of attempts, then unless you're Steph Curry, then your efficiency is going to be low, right? Like, he's taking 9 a game. That's elite. Okay, if we lower those attempts, his efficiency should go up. But Luka Doncic's biggest problem is in the clutch. He basically implodes, and this is the biggest problem with the Dallas Mavericks. I watched them against the Houston Rockets yesterday have like an 8-point lead with 2 minutes left, and they ended up losing that game in overtime by 6 because they could not, for the life of them, hit more than one shot. I'm pretty sure the only player that scored in the last 2 minutes of regulation was like a corner 3 by Maxi Kleba. And that was it. See, that's the biggest problem with the Mavericks, right? Luka Doncic is just, he doesn't finish in the clutch, which hinders this team's ability to win close games. But I also think that's because he's young. But then again, he has been in a lot of these scenarios before. So to me, there is no reason why he can't right now be a very good clutch player. He just doesn't get it done. My other that's really my biggest gripe with him, though. I don't think there's anything.
I think he's just too young right now. He has so much more going for him.
He has so much room to develop, and I think him and Kristaps, well, Kristaps isn't playing particularly well this year. I think next year they're going to be a much better team. I think Kristaps is going to get back to that New York Knicks.
2 years from now, he's an MVP.
And Doncic is going to be an MVP candidate.
No, he's going to be an MVP.
He's out of the race at this point because, I mean, I think we all agree that Giannis is going to win. But to me, but by next year, he will be firmly in that discussion if he can finish in the clutch. But at my number 1, I obviously have James Harden because I think he is the most talented. He's very experienced. He's actually really strong. People may have you believe that because he tries to draw fouls that he's soft. He's not.
I think the game against the Bucks that really proved it for me.
Yeah,
like he proved his defense.
The post. He's not a bad defender. He's actually to me an above average defender thanks to his post defense. His post defense is very good, and that's just a testament to his strength. He is a strong player, and that's why I think the Rockets actually have a much higher ceiling. After watching them beat the Mavericks, then the Bucks, I am legitimately saying that the Rockets, in the right circumstance, could make the Western Conference Finals. I think they can beat the Utah Jazz. I think they will beat
They will beat the Utah Jazz in 4 games.
Because Bogdanovic is such a big loss that the Jazz cannot make up for that. I thought they might be able to, but I thought about it a little bit more, and I could not see a player on this team that could make up for that. Unless Donovan goes like 2006 Dwayne Wade, they are not going to make it out of the first round to me. But anyway, what were we talking about? The Rockets? Yeah. James Harden is a very strong guard. People will let you believe that he's inefficient, but again, with high volume becomes lower efficiency. And he's actually I'm pretty sure he's about average from 3 on the amount of attempts he takes, which is just nuts. I mean, when you're shooting, he's shooting league average on 12.5 attempts a game. That is absurd, okay? You can shoot league average like Ja Morant on 2 attempts. But if you take 6 times that and you're still shooting at that same efficiency, that is elite. He's great. He's amazing at drawing fouls. He's actually very similar to D'Angelo Russell in the sense that he shoots a lot of threes, and he's basically cut the mid-range out of his game. Except D'Lo just shoots a lot more mid-range, doesn't get to the basket, and doesn't draw fouls like Harden, and isn't nearly as all right of a defender. Harden's also been fairly durable over his career, and he's also obviously a multi-time scoring champ. He's also a good playmaker and a solid rebounder. So that's why I put him at number 1, and I think we can all agree that he's the most talented. So any problems with any lists?
Not really. I think all the lists are pretty.
Mitchell.
You think I put Donovan Mitchell way too low?
Too low. Bro, he's the third fastest to get 5. That proves him, bro.
Okay, but okay, that's great. But I mean,
he's better than B Book. That's what I'm gonna say.
Do you think he's more talented than Devin Booker, or is it also because of their record? Because I think Devin Booker is definitely more.
He's a better shooter and a better scorer.
I think the Suns would have a better.
He's a definitely better leader being a better leader is more important right now.
Jazz already had
In the playoff.
the Jazz had a set and made team for Donovan Mitchell to come to. When he was a rookie, they had what? Ricky Rubio starting at point guard, which was a great option.
They also had Gordon Hayward, didn't they? Or was that the year they traded him?
No, that was the year that the Jazz were supposed to be bad that year because Gordon Hayward left in free agency. But,
No, he didn't. Well, it was a sign and trade.
No, he left. He left.
No, it was a sign and trade.
Okay, who did they get back?
I'm not. Oh,
They didn't get.
was he not traded?
No, he signed for like $80 million straight.
And then he had the horrible injury.
And then he had the horrible injury.
I think Donovan Mitchell's rookie year was with Gordon Hayward.
No, I know for a fact it wasn't. Because he would not have gone
Yeah, I know that.
minutes.
Yeah, I was watching.
I know for a fact it wasn't. Ben, I can 100%.
You're saying that this is the 5th year Gordon Hayward's been on the
Celtics?
No,
No.
Donovan Mitchell has played 3 years.
Then why do you say
I know. I don't understand how Devin Booker is younger if he's played 5 years.
Because I don't know. Devin Booker came in. I don't know. You can check. It has been proven that Devin Booker is younger than than Donovan Mitchell. I don't know how. I don't know how to explain it. I think Donovan Mitchell was a sophomore when he entered the NBA.
Oh,
That's right.
okay,
Yeah.
he played 2 years of college?
He played 2 years of college.
That's why.
Yeah. And his birthday's a little earlier.
Mhm.
Devin Booker came into the NBA as a young and onion, so I think he was the youngest player in his draft class. And like when Donovan was probably the oldest taken in the lottery, like that kind of swings things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to. So Arnav, what do you think is the ceiling of the Jazz now? Because you love them, right? And you think Donovan's really
They can
good?
make it to the second round if they
Even
get
without Bogdan.
Yeah.
it. Yeah, they're not that bad. It's just they're not going to get any farther than that.
They don't have any shot creation. They have none. Like Mike Conley's played well, and I thought that could help. And I thought if
They all
Conley
step
played
it up, then they're good. But it's
Well,
going to be hard to make it to the second round, but they're going to do it, I think. But yeah,
I watched the Rockets last night, and they play with this togetherness and this
Also,
next man up
I wanted
mentality
to say
that the Jazz just don't play with. Like if one guy is having an off night, or someone's having an off night, then they're going to lose. And that's my problem with them. Like they really don't have the necessarily depth or proven players to fill in these kind of injuries, right? Like they were never going to replace Bogdan. Like they could have players improve a little, but they were never going to get what. Like I think they lost an immeasurable amount when they lost him. And I think the
also,
Rockets will beat them in the series.
the last thing I want to say is I kind of want to talk about Giannis, bro. Like I don't see them going farther than the conference finals anymore. Like
Why
they're
not?
playing really bad.
The Bucks,
How many games have the Bucks won? Like
the Bucks,
one?
Giannis,
They
most
lost?
of the Bucks played their bench basically the whole game today. Giannis played 16 minutes.
Still, bro, I don't see the Bucks.
Mason played 30 minutes in this game. Do you know who Frank Mason is?
Nope.
Well, exactly. So the Bucks were not trying to win this game. They were trying to get Giannis like a little bit.
I'm
ready
happy
to
for
get
this though.
in shape.
That means Giannis is going to the Raptors, or if he goes to Golden State.
I think he might. I think the highest chance, he has the highest odds of staying. I think he has higher odds of staying than people believe.
Yep.
I think he could.
Right.
I think he could stay.
I think we should wrap it up now.
But I think we should wrap it up there. We've kind of gotten off the rails here.
Okay, so now.
Okay, guys. So that's gonna wrap up Doing the Key podcast for today. We'll get back to you with another video soon. What is it?
Tomorrow.
Like
Or Thursday.
tomorrow? Or
Oh yeah, no, we're having a video. No, we're having a video come out tomorrow.
All right, sounds good.
all right.
All right.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.